If you grill it, he will come.
Hey.
Hey.
Is this heaven?
Nope. It's Fareway.
A fuel choice that even rivals can agree on? Now that's worth the hype. Cheaper, cleaner, and homegrown. Pump it up with unleaded 88.
I'll have the bacon cheeseburger.
Got it. That'll be right up.
Oh, man. I wish I would have gotten that. You know what to do. Audible. Chicken wing, chicken wing, chicken wing. 42, 42.
I got you, Rocco.
There's nothing better than getting what you want, and Sweet Caroline's Kitchen and Cocktails has everything you want. Great burgers, sandwiches, wings, and more. Call an audible on your next meal out. Sweet Caroline's Kitchen and Cocktails, Ames.
Sebastian Maniscalco.
My wife and I went to go see Hamilton on Broadway.
It Ain't Right Tour 2024.
Oh my God, it is amazing. We saw it. Oh, it changed me it changed me. Now, as soon as I hear that, I'm like, I ain't gonna like this.
Sebastian Maniscalco, live on stage in Des Moines, Wells Fargo Arena, December 15th, 2024. Get tickets now at livenation.com. For more, visit sebastianlive.com.
Two guys, two Chris's, one network. Iowa Everywhere. It's time for Two Guys with Chris Williams and Chris Hassel. Presented by Fareway Meat and Grocery from the Channel Seed Studios. Where? Everywhere. Live and always on demand at Iowa Everywhere.
What is up? It's CyHawk week. Let's get after it. My name's Chris Williams. I'm joined as always by the wonderful Chris Hassel in Florida. Big day here on Iowa Everywhere. Of course, we are presented by our friends at Fareway Meat and Grocery. I plopped into Ames on Friday. First thing I did, boom, I dropped off the camper. I went straight to the Fareway in Ames. Lovely, lovely place. I believe one of the managers there, I believe he was a manager. I didn't catch his name. Runs up to me. Huge fan of the show. Huge fan of the show, Hassel. He even likes you.
Even if you got it wrong and he's not the manager, like that's
let's call him
that's
Tim.
a compliment, right? Even if he's just like one of those kids that walks you out to your car after you're done. Mind if I
always
take these
feel
groceries
awkward
out to your
with
car for you?
And I always say no, I can get it, and they're like, no, it's my job. I'm like, no, you really don't need to. I can get it. I'm not disabled. Help that lady, But they're always very kind about it. No, it's my job. They make me do it. A kind gesture by our friends at Fareway.
Smelled so much Fareway meat in the tailgate lots there on Saturday. We're back,
You
baby.
just walked around just wafting meat.
Erling, Iowa.
Welcome to the program. We are in the Channel Seed Studios. A lot to react to today. But, of course, today is a massive day for our network as Murph and Andy, the godfathers of talk radio in the state of Iowa, are starting their show today, 1 o'clock live. You can watch it right here. Wherever you're watching this, you're probably going to be able to, well, unless it's my or Chris's Twitter feed, right?
I'll be retweeting it, though, too.
Yeah. Anywhere.
Anywhere.
Everywhere.
Wherever you watch us, you'll be able to watch Murph and Andy at 1 p.m. Central Time, right? Live from Perry as they embark on RVTV. And you'll be out there with them, right?
I will be out there, yeah. I'll be out there most of the week with these guys. I think Tuesday's the only day I'm not going to be at. So, yeah, I'm going to do this show on Thursday from Oskaloosa because that's where they're at on Wednesday. I'm going to do it from Kelderman's compound.
Oh, the compound.
Yeah, I'm going to go right out to the compound.
The Kelderman compound.
I got to show you. I'll send you a picture, Matt, for when we do Bigger, Better, Bolder. Remember that guy when we were riding around in my truck, the old lead singer of Stained? And I was like, this is like Kelderman's best friend. Remember that guy?
Yeah, you were playing his music for me when I was back.
Yeah.
You were rocking out to it. He's singing like,
I'm so goddamn sick of the way this country's going on.
Is that the guy that sings, "Look at this photograph"?
No, that's Nickelback.
Oh, that's
the Nickelback guy.
Matt, I'm going to send you
But he
this
sounds like
photograph
that.
right now.
Chad
You
Kroger.
got it. Crystal Bloom took this picture of Kelderman gifting it to me on Friday night. Kelderman stopped by my camper. And it was, Aaron Lewis is his name. And he signed his set card, and he wrote, "Fuck you, CW," and he autographed it. Yeah, anyways.
I mean, that it goes with his music.
It does.
You think Try That in a Small Town is controversial?
Oh, man.
Throw
I
on
was
some
going
of this
through
kid's
his
music.
catalog yesterday, and there was this song about, I ain't made in China. That's what it's called. It's about how everything's made in China except me. I'm American.
I ain't made in China like that China virus.
Well, much more of this on Murph and Andy today. And I'm excited to hear Andy Fails Uncensored, just dropping one F-bomb after another, just being offensive.
This is going to be really interesting to see unfold. Now that the shackles have been taken off, there's no FCC that you have to report to. Andy, we know from watching all his What's Buggin' Andys over the decades, this is a guy who's always pushed the envelope. But there's this other dynamic at play where Keith Murphy is very anti that show going off the rails. Like if Andy starts dropping cuss words, I don't know.
How's Keith going to handle it?
I don't know. I'm really interested to see, and I'm wondering if Keith is going to basically be the new FCC for Andy, and kind of influence Andy to not, open up like we do. And I think there's some positives to that. I mean, they want to be more of a family show, kind of.
Yeah,
I mean,
Keith does not want them to be like us.
No.
He has been very adamant, like they do not want to be like we are.
They're not going to be talking placentas and dropping F-bombs and all that, but I do want to see Andy open up a little bit more. He has that in him.
I want to hear him cuss.
I do too. And I would put the line on those guys using a curse word today. And I'm talking curse words like you can't use on radio. I'm not talking ass.
Oh.
I'm not talking hell.
Take the under today.
I think that, the over-under would be set at 0.5, and the under would be minus 15,000.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen today. But I think once Andy gets a little bit more comfortable, he might open up a little bit more. And he might let some curse words fly.
If you're watching on YouTube, that's the photograph of Kelderman giving me the "fuck you" CW sheet.
Look at this photograph.
Different band.
How pissed was Kelderman, by the way, after
With
listening to the first episode of Instant Iowa, which has been a raging success so far.
Great show. You guys were awesome. I was watching it from the press box. It was it scratched everybody right where they were itching. Good job with that. Really
what
massive
about that
numbers.
intro, though? That intro, I know it has
massive numbers, but man, I'm so pissed. Speaking of curse words, this fucking Canadian who does our voiceovers screwed it up again.
It's fine. You guys
listen to it.
Chris Hassel, Andrew Downs. It's time for Instant Iowa. Immediate analysis and reaction presented by Fareway Meat and Grocery.
It's time for Instant Iowa.
Chris Hassel, Andrew Downs. It's time for Instant Iowa.
How does this keep happening? I'm sitting there. I'm all jacked up. I'm ready to do the show. We roll the open. And it's time for Instant Iowa. What the hell?
And none of us had heard or seen that graphic. I hadn't, at least. And
I hadn't either.
The best part was watching your face through the studio. I don't know if you knew this. I was in the studio, and you did that exact look. But how does this guy... I mean, we've sent him back dozens of edits on these. How does he keep doing this?
I don't know.
And he's a pro. Like, he was Taylor
he's a pro.
Swift radio
Look,
voice man. He's
everything
like,
he does is great.
Yeah,
just
he's very professional.
Pronounce Iowa. Like, there are no words more important to pronounce than when you're doing voiceover work for Iowa Everywhere than the fucking name of the state. Iowa. It's Iowa. It's not Iowa.
Are we sure that we're pronouncing Iowa correctly?
Yes.
I mean, this is
positive.
native land. It's not Iowa. I mean, Iowa is a thing. The Iowa.
Some people
Creek.
are wondering if he's doing this on purpose now, because the way I mispronounce words sometimes, like
it
program.
could be whoever is communicating with him. It's either Aiden or Liebel is doing this. They could be doing this to just get content out of it.
I know specifically Aiden gives him specific instructions on how to pronounce Iowa, so I want to get these notes. Maybe we can show him on the...
Oh, that steeple ridge. Oh, it makes me so thirsty on a Friday night. It's an insatiable thirst for whiskey.
Again, despite that, we still had a fun show. I'm a little embarrassed, though, at how giddy I was. Like, I was just so stunned and excited to see a competent offense.
Real quick, before we get into that, Brett has a great idea. What if Aaron Lewis did our sound promos? How would those go, Hassel?
Instant Iowa.
Instant Iowa. The only state that's still great.
And fuck China.
We're here to dry your tears.
Man, you're I'll put it on a tee for you. Your Hawks. But really, both these games were odd because Iowa starts so slow, ends so fast. Iowa State starts so fast, ends so slow.
It's funny
Crazy.
you mentioned that too, because in the comments, because we were doing the show, and of course, your little Cyclone buddies are in the comments on the Instant Iowa podcast, and
supporting the program.
They're
Hassel.
making fun of us, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it took you 3 quarters to do what Rocco Beck just did in 1 second." And we're thinking, okay, this is gonna be like a 42-0 game. Nah, not so much. But I do like that. That's part of fandom, though, and rivalry specifically. I bet you there are few things Iowa State fans loved more back in the day than after a miserable game for Iowa, you turn on WHO Sound Off.
I listen to Sound Off all the time when you guys lose.
Because you love the misery. Well, this was opposite. This was Iowa fans, like Andrew Downs described it on Instant Iowa as like letting the water wash over you, like a baptism, like reborn.
Yeah, Downs was. I'll just put it this way: his keyboard was wet after that show.
And he was so negative in the first half too. Like we were total opposites. That's not how Instant Iowa is probably going to go the majority of the time.
Yeah,
where both of
it was
us are
weird.
just. I mean, we're rubbing nipples and everything else.
At halftime, man, I was like, I can't wait for this show because Downs is going to be like, hey, you know what? 9-0, you got out of there. It's a good win.
You got out of there. Nobody got hurt. You know, we'll see.
You know, we'll get parents back next week.
Yeah,
It'll be
everything
great.
will be okay. Well, look, this was a game that I think was 3 years in the making. And the stats will bear that out as well. And what McNamara did with the 3 touchdown passes and Iowa's offense scoring 40 points. We have not seen the Iowa offense themselves score 40 points since that explosion on a Friday night in Maryland 3 years ago. And that was the game right before that huge top 5 Penn State game at Kinnick Stadium. And that's where Iowa topped out. Like I feel like we think that this offense has been bad for longer than that. It really wasn't. 2020, the offense was good. And early on in 21,
absolutely.
the offense was good and clicking, and they hung 50-plus points on Maryland. That Maryland game was the last time an Iowa quarterback threw 3 touchdown passes. It was Spencer Petras in that game. For whatever reason, after that Penn State game, when Iowa rises to 2 in the country, that's when everything changed. You had the 24-7 loss to Purdue, and the bottom just fell out. And that's where things had never been the same offensively. It has been almost 3 full years since then. And I would even venture to say that the way Cade McNamara played in that second half was as good as an Iowa quarterback has played since C.J. Beathard was the quarterback.
Oh, that's fair.
Nate Stanley had some good games.
Stanley early. You remember that game in Ames where he had like 5 touchdowns?
Yeah, I don't know that a quarterback looked that good. I'm talking McNamara second half. I don't think an Iowa quarterback has looked that good since C.J. Beathard, which the 2015 season was almost a decade ago now.
You know, I'm a scheme guy, and I haven't watched the game close. I have watched it. I watched it last night, and then this morning I watched the second half again. The one thing that I would love if our friend Hawkeye Game Film is watching, give me some analysis on this, my man, because he's always I think he's one of the best out there
he's
on
good.
Twitter. He's phenomenal. I saw some routes where the tight ends were almost a decoy for the wide receivers. Like, and I don't know how the progressions were supposed to look there. I don't know enough about it, but like crossing routes where in the past, it's like, he's going to Lachey. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the only way you're throwing downfield like that is if you're going to Lachey, and the wide receivers made plays. Like it was, it wasn't a perfect ball. The wide receiver comes back and catches it.
Yeah,
and
that's the thing I loved about it is
right?
he was allowing the wide receivers to be wide receivers.
They were
Give
a part
them a
of the
chance.
offense. Yeah.
Lob it up there. They call them 50-50 balls. They're really not. Not when you have a wide receiver that's usually going to be 4 or 5 inches taller than a cornerback who has his back turned to the QB. Those are balls that good wide receivers come down with. And Vanderzee looks like he's going to be a star. That was
really good.
Looking back on it, Sean Bach of 24/7 Sports was right. Just a huge recruiting win for Iowa over Iowa State. And give this kid credit. Taking a chance on Iowa? You're a receiver that's that good? And you're going to take a chance on the Iowa Hawkeyes where receivers go to just die? And he comes out in his first game and does that? So impressive from him. And the one thing I didn't see a lot of, which I think might be a good thing moving forward because we'll see more of it, is I thought that there were going to be more passes that were extensions of run plays. Like, get it out quick wide to a wide receiver on a screen and let him pick up 4 yards. Like, I didn't see really any of that in this game. And I think that is one of the staples of this kind of offense. And I thought that was one of the things that would help get Cade McNamara on track. That first half, I was really frustrated because they were just continuing to try to run it into stacked boxes. I was counting the Illinois State players in the box before every snap, and it was always 8. Sometimes it was 9, and even a 10th guy was often really close to that line of scrimmage. And they just kept trying to run it. And I don't think it was Moulton's fault. I think Moulton did it as good a job as he could as the starting running back in that game. Caleb Johnson was suspended for that first half.
Well, he looked good.
I just... the offensive line didn't have much of a chance in the run blocking game in that first half. But once you start to show that you can throw it, all of a sudden, Caleb Johnson is busting off 60-yarders and 30-yarders. It's funny how that works, huh, Williams? All of a sudden, the offensive line looks great.
When you have to defend the whole field, it makes it a little more easy to – yeah. Listen, I don't know how an Iowa fan could have left that game feeling bad or really the only thing, it's just like with Kirk coming back, I don't know how that plays into it.
I do wonder how things might have been different
know.
if Kirk was there. I do wonder. I mean, I came away from that game thinking a lot more of Seth Wallace, like what he said and did at halftime,
really
and Tim
like
Lester, how he made adjustments in that second half. I don't know if it would have been different with Kirk Ferentz there. I mean, I don't buy that they wouldn't have been able to have a great second half with Ferentz.
No, I don't either. I'm looking ahead to next week, like because to me, like that looks to be, if I'm Iowa, and you want to attack that Iowa State defense, and we'll get to them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a Caleb Johnson type of day, right? It's
yes.
a Luke Lachey. It's and you could probably get baited pretty easily to go back to what you do, and you probably could win, honestly, by doing that against Iowa State's defense with what we saw on Saturday and the major injury concerns that they have. Again, we'll get into that, but that was really the only kind of questions I had is like, does that impact it at all? And I got to be consistent here. And when Kirk got suspended, I said this is a big nothing burger.
Mm-hmm.
And if I believed that, which I did when I said it, then I don't think it would make a difference. And let's trust the reporting, I guess. Like coaches lie all the time, right? Like they are horrible liars.
I thought that the only thing that it might change is it might allow Cade McNamara to play the entire game, even if he's struggling, because they would be either told before the game not to pull Cade or afraid to make that kind of choice without Kirk. And it turns out that was a great move because there were a lot of people
more.
Well,
in the second half, or do you
I
think
did want to see him more like in the fourth quarter when it was over.
Yeah,
but I don't think it was that. He wouldn't have gotten much play. The game was decided. Yeah, he could have maybe thrown it around a little bit, but that's really nitpicky. I just give this staff credit for not making the change to Sullivan because McNamara was really struggling in that first quarter, and the Big Ten Network even showed Sullivan on the sideline after another bad Cade McNamara throw. Like, okay, here we go. There's the backup. Is it time? Is it time to bring him in? And fans were booing. There were boos on several possessions from the Hawkeye fan base because it was bad.
Well, insight for our audience. I couldn't watch the game because I had all these. I was at the channel Seeds. I was with the Seedsman at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I called Hassel at halftime, and I go, "What in the fuck is going on there?" And Hassel was just beside himself. It's the same shit, Chris. It's the same shit. And then I flip on instant
Iowa.
No, hang on. You didn't encapsulate everything I said. I said, but I still think they're going to win the game like 20-0.
And you were right.
Well, I mean, I didn't see 40-0.
Let's talk a little Iowa State here, and then we'll merge the conversations, do some bigger picture. I want to thank our friends at Kaburski Brothers Lawn Care. Maddie saw my landscaping job last night. He came over to the house and helped me with some microphone and camera setup here in the office. What'd you think, Maddie, about what them daggum Kaburski brothers did to my backyard?
Those daggum Kaburski brothers did a hell of a job, man. It looks good.
Yeah.
Adding a little trim just to the edge of your deck helps a ton.
Yeah. Maddie took some pictures. We'll have those for you guys for social media and all that good stuff. But remember, this is a really good time to get landscaping done. And a great local company with a couple of dudes who we really like, and we appreciate their support of Iowa everywhere. The Kaburski Brothers, they do lawn care, landscaping, and snow removal in the Des Moines Metro. Iowa State wins 21-3 over North Dakota. They go 75 yards in 2 plays. And fastest start I've ever seen for an Iowa State team in a season. It's like, holy shit. And then it just really, the air is taken out of that place when arguably your best defensive player, Caleb Bacon, goes down with what I believe, and I do not have the info, he's having an MRI this morning. We all believe it's going to be a season-ending knee injury.
And you say best player, but would it be even more accurate to say most important player on defense?
Yeah, because that's their thinnest position. And so you have to know this context, especially like some Iowa fans that may not follow it day to day. Going into this season, Iowa State was already down a couple of linebackers for the season, okay, to season-ending things. So by my calculation, they were playing 2 third-string guys at one point. At one point, I think a fourth string guy, a walk-on out of Iowa City, was in that football game. So this was the one, and we had talked a lot this summer about potentially playing more 4-2-5 to, mess with you manipulate the numbers of the layers of the defense a little bit. This is a catastrophic injury for Iowa State's defense. If indeed it turns out to be what we all believe it will be, because I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4 linebackers Iowa State was down on Saturday, and I think one of them will be back for Iowa. Cale Brazina is his name, but he is a true freshman, so there's no guarantees with that. But I thought, Chris, that the air really came out of that stadium at that point. Their defense was a total mess the next possession after Bacon went out. You also have to realize that Bacon is like kind of the quarterback. He's the one with the ears in his helmet.
Communication,
Yeah, doing all that, and they were a complete and total mess after that. They only gave up 3 points, right? Like, so I wasn't panicked. I'm not worried about the offense at all. I think the offense was super vanilla, and I think that they could have scored 40 if they wanted to. It got really to the point where they weren't doing a lot, and Campbell was just trying to get out of that game without more injuries, is what it felt like. Ben Bramer was nicked up in that game, which is a huge deal. Hopefully he'll be back and ready to go on Saturday. But I'm really concerned. I think their D-line will be fine. I'm really not concerned there. The linebacking situation, not just for Saturday, but for the rest of the year, there's nothing you can do about injuries. And like, you can scheme other things, right? They are so thin there. And that's why if I'm Iowa, I'm going to Caleb Johnson the shit out of this team and just go right at them. But we'll see. What did you think of Iowa State?
Very underwhelmed, but understandable after the injury. And Big T points out that Iowa State was on defense for what felt like hours at a time.
12 and a half minute drive in the second
20-plus play drives. Yeah, you didn't yield the points. I mean, you held this team to 3, but North Dakota's not a very good team. They look pretty good.
Yeah, this isn't you and I, like when there's those passionate games or North Dakota State or anything like that.
You're letting them run all over you. You're letting them convert over 50% of third downs. They had 11 third down conversions in this game. I think there were like 6 on one drive.
At one point, they were 8 of 10 on third down.
Ugh. So they did a better job. They finished up 11 for 20 on third downs. But I'm really worried if I'm Iowa State stopping the Iowa run game. I am. With the way North Dakota did it to them and the way Iowa's feeling right now, and Caleb Johnson looking like a bell cow back, man, he looks the part. I'd be really worried that Iowa is going to be able to punch it up the middle on this shorthanded defense with Bacon presumably out. That's the one thing I'm really concerned about if I'm an Iowa State fan going into this game. And I'm going to be honest, I'm rethinking my pick.
Me too.
For this CyHawk game.
We
both picked Iowa State to win this game. I'm completely rethinking it. I'm not going to decide until Thursday's show. But I don't know if I can pick Iowa State now. And it's not just what I saw from Iowa's offense. This more has to do with what I didn't see from Iowa State and what Iowa State's not going to have now in Caleb Bacon.
I really am not concerned about Iowa State's offense after watching.
No, I'm not either. I thought Beck
closely.
looked great. The receivers looked great. And you're right, they could have done more. I don't know about the running game. I was a little bit concerned. But then, I heard Ben Bruns on Cyclone Sunday say he thought the O-line was pretty good, and he didn't seem that concerned about the lack of run game that they saw.
Well, and, coaches lie. But they told us all summer, like, that they thought that this would be a pass-first type. But they said it without saying it. And
let's be honest here, and you've been saying this for years about Iowa State in this Iowa game. If Iowa State's going to win this game, they can't just be trying to run that football up the middle of this Iowa defense. Rocco Becht and those receivers have to be the superstars that they are, and they have to throw against this great Iowa defense to win.
Iowa State's 94-yard touchdown drive in the third quarter of that game on Saturday was the perfect on a platter what they have to do against Iowa. I mean, it's the same thing as the Hunter Decker's touchdown drive in Iowa City the last game, right? That Iowa defense, you know what they're going to give you. Take it. Don't get greedy. Iowa wants to beg you to do something stupid like that 53-yard pass to Jalen Knoll to start the game. That's picked off in Iowa City.
Yeah.
And you are going to have to take some shots, but they've got to be calculated against Iowa. And I do trust Beck really well with his decision-making. I almost probably more than I did Brock Purdy, because Brock had that Brett Favre to him where you just never knew, right? Like he was going to lose his mind out there and do something crazy. And a lot of times it worked, but a lot of times against Iowa, we all saw it most certainly didn't. But I think that this could turn into an insanely low possession game on Saturday, where Iowa is taking what it can get on the ground. Remember Weissman had like 300 yards against Iowa State. It felt like he's running for like 6 yards a pop that one year. I could see Iowa doing that, and I could see Iowa State really, because I don't think Mauser is. I've sensed a change in Campbell too. Like this is Randy Peterson's column today was really good. He doesn't think, and I completely agree with Randy. He doesn't think Iowa State's going to take like a month to settle into its offense this year. I think they know what they do. They have really good playmakers at wide receiver. They have an elite tight end. I would be surprised if they go out there and just pound their head against concrete against Iowa like they've done in the past and try and just play Iowa football. Now, that can bite you too. We've seen Iowa will lure you into bad decisions and you throw an interception, and last year Beck did a pick six. The game was over, right? You give Iowa a defensive touchdown that early, they're going to pull out the old anaconda. Really fascinating matchup, though. But I am vastly concerned about Iowa State at linebacker because of those injuries. They have good young talent, but they're going to be playing a ton of freshmen in Iowa City on Saturday. I do think their defensive line will be a lot better. I have a lot of faith in that group coming up on Saturday. So, yeah, just an interesting couple of games. Just the way they started and the way that they ended for both of our teams couldn't be more polarly opposite.
I was just about to ask Van Winks to look up the line to see if it's moved, because it had been sitting at 2.5 for quite a while. It has moved to 3, according to Van Winks, and I'm not surprised based on that injury to Bacon and the way these two teams looked, especially the Iowa. I think the Iowa offensive explosion might impact the public more than the Bacon injury, just because they might think, oh God, Iowa has an offense now. Maybe this should be a 3.5 point spread. A lot of Iowa State fans in the comments are saying, oh, I'm not worried. You know, we've won 3 out of the last 5 in Iowa City.
Fully kicking in right now.
I don't think you can really embrace that number. Like most of the players that played in that last game in Iowa City are gone. That was a Hunter Decker's game. He's long gone. But I do think there's something to be said for the way Matt Campbell gets his guys to play on the road.
Yeah.
And I just saw a stat this morning from CBS Sports, and we have the game on CBS at 2:30 Central Time this Saturday, that Iowa State has won 4 straight road games. Now, obviously, this goes back to last season, different team, but 4 straight road games. If they win a 5th in a row, it'll be their longest road winning streak since the early 60s. So I do think that
Matt's really
not necessarily the stat on the games in Iowa City, but the fact that Iowa State does play really good road football under Campbell and with these guys specifically, I think that is something that you can kind of hang your hat on going into this game.
I want to address one comment from, I believe to be an Iowa State fan, Joey. He says, don't you trust John Haycock? I do, but at some point you have to have players to pull off whatever you're trying to do. If Iowa State didn't have Rocco Beck, Jalen Knoll, and Jaden Higgins, I wouldn't be sitting here saying, oh, air it out. Right? Like, at some point, like, I don't know how you can objectively look at anything and look at these linebackers and say, you were playing 3rd and 4th string dudes and just kind of grasping there for a while on Saturday. I absolutely think they'll be better. I think Haycock will have a great game plan. I think you could see Bo Freeler sneak up and play some linebacker. Like, I think all of those things could happen. And I'm more concerned about this Iowa game than I am the Big 12 because of the way Iowa plays. And you need linebackers in that. It's a matchup type of thing. But at some point you get down to a certain level of depth and it becomes a big concern, and it doesn't really matter what you do schematically. I don't think the Big 12 is very good after watching it this week. A brutal week for the Big 12. I mean, Texas Tech almost lost.
Yeah, I was watching the end of that Texas Tech game. Holy smokes.
I mean, Dion and Colorado probably should have lost, depending on who you talk to there. The Arizona schools both looked pretty good, I thought, late. This
Arizona State looked really good.
Now this Big 12 After Dark is going to be an amazing thing for me.
Yes. Once they start playing each other, like it's one thing if they're playing an FCS team, but you start playing each other, and that is going to be a lot of fun. And there's some snap judgments to be made about the Big 12 and maybe even the ACC after the first week of the season. But
the Big Ten didn't have a dominant week either. I mean, USC helped. USC
that
helped
was a big win for
yesterday,
USC. That was
Hey,
that was surprising.
Oregon
Credit
was a
to
little
Lincoln
disappointing.
Riley. But real quick, Maddie,
Yeah.
credit
Go
to
ahead.
Lincoln Riley. His teams haven't played a lick of defense in his entire career. He got rid of Alex Grinch probably about 2 years too late, and they played awesome last night. They completely proved me wrong.
By the way, we have to address the locks of the week last week. Didn't go so well for you guys.
I went 1-1.
Barely.
What do you mean barely? Iowa had
Barely,
the biggest
that's not-
offensive explosion in years, and they still didn't even get the over. I hit the under 40.5. I'm 1-1. It's fine.
That little half point, baby.
I'm a week 2
I
guy.
was
I'm a back
wrong
nine
about
player.
Texas A&M. Holy smokes! Connor Wegman is just not a difference maker at quarterback. Notre Dame just went in there and slapped them.
Kind of pissed me off because I felt like Colorado probably should have covered that game.
Probably.
I really did.
By the way, what the hell?
Colorado minus 9.5 and LSU minus 4. So
What the hell's
start for you?
What the hell's Dion doing throwing the ball? With
That was insane. There's
Under
a
2
minute 30
minutes.
to go. North Dakota State has one timeout left. All you need to do is knee the ball 3 times. It's over. How do coaches not understand that?
He's
at
trying
this
to pad.
point?
He's trying to pad Shadur's stats.
The problem
That's
with
insane.
The problem with Dion isn't these freaking coaches. It's not even that he didn't understand it. It's that after the game he tries to defend it. He's super arrogant about it, and it's just it's okay. We're all wrong sometimes. I would have so much more respect for him if he was just
you know what? You're right. Looking back on
Yeah.
it, we should have need the ball. But that's a fireable offense.
We're going to learn from this, just like our kids. We watch film and we correct their angles and tackling and all that. We're going to learn from this. Instead, he just goes up there and gives you this nonsense. It's okay to say I screwed up. In fact, your fans will like you more for it. I promise you guys. Be vulnerable up there.
Be vulnerable.
These coaches and their constant lying across the board. Oh, wait until Campbell's press conference this week. I'm sure it'll be great with all the injuries. Oh, yeah, he was practicing yesterday.
What kind of new logo is he going to roll out with? Listen, I've got some advice for Iowa State. Don't ever wear those Cardinal helmets again with the I-State.
Thank you.
The jerseys were really good. They
Think about
popped,
the white lids
especially
with
in the
that.
sunlight. I really liked the new jerseys, but the helmets, that's got to be a white helmet with an I-State.
Yeah. Dude, I like their new jerseys a lot. I think they did a good job with those.
I agree.
I don't like the Cardinal helmets in general. I love the white ones. And they also have I don't think I would have done it with that combination, but the black lids are really cool. When they had the black one with the Cardinal I-State in the middle. Have you seen that one? That one's really cool. I think a big upgrade for Iowa State's uniform game, though, and I'm not a big uniform guy. Those look sharp on Saturday.
I am a big uniform guy, and I agree.
I was at the game on Saturday. They have a new sound system at Jack Trice Stadium, and it was loud.
Was it?
It was really loud.
Oh, I wanted to ask you
but it was
about-
good. It was you could hear things better, but it was really loud.
This poor woman. who
What was the new
host.
in-game? What is it? The stadium host?
Jackie
how was
Schmelling.
that? Jackie Schmillen, how
So,
was that?
I thought she actually did a pretty good job. It's a tough job. I heard you talking about this with Bloom Williams.
Yes.
It's a tough
your
job to be out
you're
there.
You're a glorified ad. You're a glorified commercial is what you are.
Now they eased her in by having her introduce the kid captain, which was really cool. So you got an automatic pop there, and it was a really cool moment. It's a tough job, and I heard you saying this too, Chris. I've been on the field where they're doing have the mic on the field, and it is a big delay. It's like a 3 to 5 second delay from when you talk to what you're hearing on the speakers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she did a pretty good job. I think she could tone it down just a little bit just because the speakers are really loud.
That's the feedback that
my ears,
I saw a lot of from Iowa State fans was that it was just
Yeah.
it was too loud. And I could see how difficult this job would be, and especially winning people over. I don't know what it's like in Iowa City now because I haven't been to a game there in quite some time since they've gotten their own in-game host. But like, you don't want to be a star. You want to just kind of disappear into the game. You don't want people recognizing what you do or speaking about you. You just want to be there to do the things you need to do. I don't love it as a college football fan. I don't want to be at a game where there's it's minor league baseball and there's an in-game studio person. This has to be money related, right? This has to be they're somehow able to make more money off this.
It is better too than having the big voice guy on the PA just reading an ad. Like it does add a little bit more personality, and those commercials are so long, so it gives you something to look at, something to take in during the. I think they could have a little bit more fun with it.
I want to hear the band, play music over the loudspeakers and the band. That's what I want to hear. That's the great thing about college football games that you don't get at NFL games or at minor league. You have a live marching band the entire time. That's part of the pageantry. That's what I love. I hope this doesn't take away from what the band is able to bring.
Huge band, guys. Huge. We love the band. Maybe we could get Aaron Lewis. Get Kelderman to have Aaron Lewis go and speak.
Aaron Lewis on the mic.
God damn it. That tuba's made in China. We are two guys with Chris and Chris here in Iowa Everywhere. Murph and Andy, the debut episode.
Hell yes.
Comes up at 1 o'clock.
I can't wait. I'm going to be at work, but I'm going to try to make sure there's no breaking news that happens at 2 Eastern time, 1 Central, and tune into this sucker. Because I've missed them so much. Like they were a part of every weekday of mine for almost 15 years, and then all of a sudden they're just gone. 2 months, nothing. And now they're back. Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, 1 p.m. Central Time. This week, it'll be live from RVTV all week long. A lot of feedback on Andy's picture here for the promo that we have up if you're watching us on YouTube or where have you.
He's such a handsome man, isn't he?
I think he just, if you're a female and you look at this picture, you might be pregnant.
I think I might be pregnant.
The smolder.
I mean, my God. Look at that look.
Why is Keith always squinting? Hassel always photoshops these pictures of Keith.
Oh, we had
Keith being like really like he's like squinting his eyes.
And
it's all I
really
can see with Keith now.
Pisses Keith off so much. And I mostly just do it in one of our group chats. But I did one on, was it Saturday night, that really got to him. And it's not something that we can show, even though we don't have to answer to the FCC. I think we might be banned from YouTube for all time.
You would get canceled.
I would get canceled, you think? I don't know if I'd be canceled, but our YouTube page might be canceled. It was a picture that Keith, he was all proud. Oh, you know what Keith loves? Keith loves telling us how no one knows anything about Iowa.
Oh, yeah. Nobody's even ever heard of you guys.
So this is how this came up. So he was out on Saturday night with his beautiful wife, Jenny, and they were running into people, and he sent us a picture with him and these 2 other people, and he's like, I just ran into David and Betsy, and
never even fucking heard of you.
They not only do they not know who you guys are, they didn't know Iowa Everywhere existed. They had no idea we were bringing our show back. And he sends us this picture. He's like, but I told him, and of course I had to go in and immediately doctor the picture.
I had a lot of elderly people come up to me saying they were excited about Keith and Andy coming to the show over the weekend. People 70 plus, they love Murph. Just hanging out there on Facebook.
When I started
listening to Aaron Lewis.
When I started at WHO back in 2007, the big joke kind of was, and they would kind of joke about it. Well, we don't have the number one rating in the market. KCCI does, but it's just a bunch of old people watching KCCI. Like they're not getting the demo. We've got the young hip people, and now
70 plus
17 years later, we're flipping it on them.
Let's do our bigger, better, bolder, shall we?
We shall.
We can. Can I just play? We have a new intro, by the way. We have a new intro for bigger, better, bolder. Can I just play the fun one more time?
One more time.
Yeah, one more time.
One more time, please.
The bigger, better, bolder.
Powered by Kelderman Manufacturing.
All right, here's the new one.
Bigger, better, bolder. Built by Kelderman Manufacturing.
All right, Canadian voice guy, pretty good with that one. Pretty
bad.
good. Didn't mispronounce any words.
How would he mispronounce bigger, better, bolder?
Bigger, better, bolder.
Can I start?
Sure.
I want to go our guy Labus.
Oh, I was locked into all these former Iowa quarterbacks playing in week one, all over the country.
Rumbling, bumbling, stumbling Deacon Hill the other
night.
night.
My God. But Labus, I mean, he was legit
Labus
slinging
was
it.
All over the place. I don't have his stats in front of me. I should have pulled him up. But he had like 3 touchdowns. He was going crazy through the air for the chips. Look at this. Matty got a highlight. And again, though, like this does just make you question. I have no idea if this probably doesn't translate to Iowa's offense last year with how horrible they were schematically. But he's not just like, because we thought, dandelion picker. That's what we thought Labus was doing. We're like, what is this guy doing during practice if he can't see the field over Deacon Hill? And it makes Brian Ferentz and Kirk Ferentz look pretty bad. The fact that Deacon Hill ends up at Utah Tech, who got their asses kicked in that first game, and he's out there slinging it like this.
Yeah, and look, Deacon Hill had the big highlight play. It was a read option that he took for 20 yards and a touchdown, but he was not great. I watched a lot of that Utah Tech game.
Here we go. There's Big Deke energy.
Goes Big Deke. Look at
that speed.
Just the back door wide open, and he chugs on in. And it was so funny to listen to the announcer, the Utah Tech announcer, and not just for that play. And look, they got their ass kicked. They got killed by Montana State, and Deacon Hill was not good throwing the football. But on that play, he's like, there goes Deacon. Oh, my God, I wasn't expecting to see this. Look at him go. Oh, touchdown. And there was a play earlier where I tweeted it out, and I said, I just love this because he just launches it. He steps back, and he just unloads it deep. He throws it 15 yards over the receiver's head, like 60 yards down the field.
But that's what Booty Meyer saw in him.
Oh yeah, he saw
that big cannon right there.
He's got that. But the announcer was like, and there goes Deacon Hill down the middle of the field. Oh geez, that's not even close. That was, oh my God, that was 15 yards over the receiver. But this guy was just kind of telling it like it is at Utah Tech. But it was good to see him just take off and run.
Yeah, good for Deacon. Labus, though. We're all rooting for Labus, right? When Max comes
absolutely.
up Tuesday nights, we're going to be rooting for Joey Labus. So good for him. He is bigger, better, and bolder as a Chippewa.
Matt, who's your Triple B this week?
I'm going to go with the guy that had the big catch for Iowa State. I was in the stands. The very first play of the season, you go deep to your number one wide. I don't know how he caught this. I mean, Iowa State posted like a slow-mo video of the catch here, and I still don't really know how he pulled this in. He pinned it to the guy's back and pulls this in, and then they go the next play to Jaden Higgins for a touchdown. And, man, I thought the route was on there. I was a little wrong, but man, he gets things going for Iowa State. And then the coolest part about this all is that he got engaged like after the game. I saw this on Instagram.
Really?
Big Jalen Noel put the ring on it.
News. I didn't know that.
Oh.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Congrats.
so congrats to Jalen. I mean, leading your team in receptions and yards and put a ring on it.
These young gals are all getting way better engagement rings now because of NIL too. Right? It's like they're congrats, Jalen. He's a really nice young man. He's one of my favorites to come through. When Maddie did the big 40th birthday video for me, Jalen told me happy birthday. That was kind of cool. So he's a neat kid.
He's in those Sweet Caroline commercials. He's making dough.
Yeah.
Paying those rings.
Good job, Jalen. And you bailed out your quarterback, too, because that was a terrible decision to throw that football. But, hey, we'll take it. What about you, Hassel? Where are you going?
This is easy. It's low-hanging fruit, but it's Cade McNamara for me. I did not think he had this in him. I didn't think we would ever see. I know it's Illinois State. Okay, I got it. I understand it. I still did not think that we would ever see this from him again. I thought he was too mentally broken to get over that hump. And in the first half, it looked that way. But he stays confident. He stays with it. And he looked as good as any quarterback that Iowa's had in many, many years in that game. And I hope this is the start of something. I hope that he can continue to gain confidence and show confidence in his receivers. But that was just such a breath of fresh air from the Iowa quarterback position where they were actually going downfield. They were letting the receivers make plays. They were scoring touchdowns. I mean, the craziest stat of the weekend, and everybody shared it a million times, is that they had as many touchdown catches by wide receivers in that second half as they had all of last season, and more than they had even the season before that. It's I feel like a new person, really.
This has totally changed your life.
Now, there is the pessimist in me. There is the glass half full guy that's like, oh my God, what if he gets hurt again? Now, Sullivan's back there, but I was thinking, what if Iowa did what Iowa State did and didn't allow anybody to the open scrimmage, and we never knew how bad McNamara performed in that open scrimmage?
And it wasn't reporting. We all saw it. The videos.
Would we even be worried about him going into this game? Would anybody be calling for Brendan Sullivan in the first half had we not known about that? I'm proud of myself, though. I never once called for Brendan Sullivan in that first half.
Good for you.
I need my flowers too. I should be somebody's
bigger,
triple B.
better, bolder. You a year ago, you would have called for Brendan Sullivan.
I might have.
You are bigger, better, and bolder.
But I just felt like there were plays to be made in that first half, and they were close to making them. Like I told you on the phone, I think they're going to make a couple plays. They're going to win it 20-0. You had to give Cade this chance. Like, if you're going to start him, if he won the battle, you had to at least give him a chance to get over that hump. And now you feel so much better going into this Iowa State game because of it. This is why I didn't want to see them just run the ball and then escape with a 17-0 win. You want to feel good going into this Iowa State game. And Iowa does, and I don't know if Iowa State does. I'm not saying it's going to affect the outcome of the upcoming game.
Well, no, but psychologically, it's taking a big flip,
No question. And it might flip our picks. We'll find out on
my guess
Thursday.
I would guess this is how it's going to go down. That line will get bet up to about 4, and it may even go to 3.5, and then the pros will come in and take anything over a field goal with Iowa State. Because they're going to expect a really
I think
low
it might get to
possession
3.5. Yeah, I don't know that it gets to 4.
But my point is there'll be reverse line movement at that point.
What do you guys
says
think?
that we're acting like Iowa's a 20-point favorite now. No, we're not. We haven't even changed our picks yet. I'm not even sure if I am going to change my pick. I picked Iowa State to win. It's going to be close. I'm going to fight with myself over these next couple days and decide if I want to switch my pick. But it's not like I'm going to pick Iowa to win by 20 points if I do.
What do you think the over-under is right now? You get to take a guess.
30.
I haven't looked at it.
5.
Have you looked at it, Williams?
Yeah. Oh.
What is it now?
Hassel, what do you think?
Wait, I haven't guessed. Have you looked at it, Williams?
No.
Okay. I would guess 38.5.
So it opened at 37.5. It's down in some places to 35.5.
Jeez.
I had seen an early one, but yeah.
Wait, so you did see? I
haven't seen like the updated one.
No, but I haven't seen any.
Right around.
DraftKings is 36. BetMGM has it at 35.5. So right around there.
I would have guessed that it would have been earlier, like closer to 40. But I just think that they're going to expect a really low possession game again. Like, and this is, and if that's the case, like you have to favor Iowa because that's what they do. Like that, it's just you're again. If you're Iowa State, you're playing into what they do. But it's fascinating. Do you agree with the comment I made? I said this to a couple people. Don't you feel more comfortable with Becht than even like you would have with Purdy in that type of a situation, just because he's just a better decision maker? Okay, I just want to make sure I wasn't being a homer.
But at the same time,
Check
and you pointed
me
it
on
out
that.
earlier, he did throw a pick six last year in this game.
That was also his second game he'd ever played, though.
Yes, he's a different quarterback now than he was in that game. And I do think he has a higher floor than Purdy in this game. Like Purdy, what was it, 2021? He got benched in this game, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, they were just totally in his head, Iowa was.
Yeah. I don't know that will happen to Rocco, but that Iowa defense looked great again. And they're forcing turnovers. That's one of the things that they were preaching in the offseason. That they want to force more turnovers this year, because that was kind of one area where they weren't great last year. And they jumped out and they did it in game one. They forced 3 turnovers, 2 in the first 8 minutes of the game.
Couple more sponsors to thank. Our friends at Iowa Corn. Huge week for them as they sponsor the CyHawk series. We appreciate them coming on board with Iowa Everywhere to promote that. Pump it up with unleaded 88 when possible. Pump it up. If you watch the wonderful ad before the program. Also want to thank our friends at Game Day Men's Health. I got people yelling at me. So last year the theme was, when people see me, they go, "Yo, placenta!" And now it's everywhere I go. "Hey, Williams, where are you going to get some of that tea, man? Where can I get some of that tea?" I say it's Game Day Men's Health. Locations in Ankeny, West Des Moines, and North Liberty.
You shared an updated photo.
Just with you. Don't be sharing that
of
with
your
other
shirtless
people.
self.
Because you...
I didn't post it anywhere.
Yeah, don't.
Just,
that would be a line.
It was a before and after, before tea
My
and after
fat
tea.
ass self. Ugh.
And I mean, it looked like before you got the tea, it looked like you were pregnant. I mean, it looked like you had
with twins,
a bowling ball inside of you. And
My
now
face is all puffy. Ugh.
I mean, you have totally changed. And how long ago was that? It hasn't even been a year,
after
has it?
March. Yeah, it was right around
God.
March Madness.
That's incredible.
The tea, man. It's all the tea. Game Day Men's. It really, it's worth going in there and talking to them if you are a guy in your 30s or really 40s and you got kids and you just haven't had time to focus on yourself for a while. They're really incredible. And all these like franchises here are locally owned too, with my guy Bill Morris. So give them a shout out and thank them for supporting what we do here on Iowa Everywhere. A couple other quick notes before we go. Is Dabo and that dynasty dead? Like, this has been the most predictable downfall in the history of college football. When Dabo Swinney, when he came out and said, "I will quit coaching if we start paying the players," right? Like that. And then he refuses to be active in the transfer portal. This is the most predictable thing. Can we declare them dead after just getting trounced by Georgia?
Well, relatively speaking, yes. Like they might still win 10 games, but I don't think this is going to be a team that's competing for national championships anymore. I mean, how many years did Clemson play for a title? They looked like the new kid on the block. They were for a short time what Georgia has become now. I mean, Georgia just absolutely destroyed them. And I did not think Clemson had a chance to win that game, but I didn't think they'd lose by 30. So I think, they're going to circle the wagons. They're going to end up winning 9 or 10 games in the ACC, but not a national championship contender anymore, no.
We already noted Lincoln Riley and that improved USC defense. Good luck for the Big Ten. I still can't take them seriously as a Big Ten school. It's just
that
too
was a
weird.
big win, though.
It's too weird for me. Any other? You watched more football than I did. Anything really pop for you? Anything really stand out?
We didn't hit on Spencer Petras.
Oh yeah,
unfortunate development there in his first game at Utah State. He threw a pick on each of his first 2 possessions. But then he did throw a touchdown pass right before he got injured. Sounds like he hurt his ankle. Don't know the severity, but he did not return to that Utah State game. So it's too bad the kid waited a while to get one more chance, and hopefully that didn't end it. But it sounds like that they didn't think it was going to be a season-ending thing or anything, just a sprained ankle. But the backup came in and performed better than he did, so I don't know if that changes things either, but he's a team captain, so you would think he would get his starting job back if he's healthy.
Hey, Hassel, quick question. Did you catch Pat Angerer on the radio broadcast for Iowa?
Yes. Not a ton of it. I listened to some of the pregame, and I listened to a few of the plays during the game on my Varsity app on my phone.
I actually pulled a highlight if we want to hear it. It's him and Dolph on one of the big...
Are we allowed to play it?
Sure. This came from Iowa's Twitter, so let's do it. I don't know.
Right.
Let's do it.
Another blitz.
Yes.
Cade
Yes,
gets away
Cade.
from it. Rolls left. Now lobs down the sideline. Oh! At the 20-yard line.
What an effort by Cade McNamara.
And Zach Ortberg.
Holy moly. And what a catch. Wow.
Watch that one on the highlights tonight, gang.
That is a big-time play. Good for Cade, man.
Yeah, that's great.
Pretty good.
That was the play from Cade McNamara where he somehow avoided the blitz, avoided the pressure, got out of the grasp of a couple different players, rolled out, threw across his body, and it was a perfect pass. And I thought he sounded a lot like Ed Podolak there. Yes, yeah, oh yeah. That's what you want. You want passion out of him. Like, he doesn't need to be the most polished guy out there. And in fact, sometimes it's better when you're not.
Polish is overrated.
But Van Winks, you said you heard more of him on the call driving around?
I listened to the whole second quarter as I was heading up to the Iowa State game. I thought he sounded really good. I think he adds a nice little energy. I think he and Dolph really do well together. I think they're going to have a nice little duo there in the booth. So
that's good to hear.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. It kind of sounds like a younger Eddie in the booth.
Travis has a great idea. I don't know if we can pull it off this year, but we need to do a CyHawk special sometime on all the off-field shenanigans with this ridiculous rivalry. The Busch Light, Carson King, stolen items in the locker room, the Iowa sucks burning
Bandgate.
Terrific Bandgate. The Bandgate is still the most hilarious, like the Iowa president. And then Pollard and Winterstein called a press conference. They were just pissed, and they had that like video up there. Right, and we're all like breaking it down. Okay, now that guy's telling the band to go in that direction, and that tuba player just flipped him off.
How about Williams getting a Milwaukee's best thrown at his head?
Oh yeah,
did that make the cut?
Just right into the back of the head. That was fun.
Well, it's CyHawk week, and we're thankful to kick it off here on Iowa Everywhere, and a historic week for us with Murph and Andy. First episode here on Iowa Everywhere today, 1 p.m. Eastern Time,
Matt,
live.
You need to roll
Central Time.
You need to roll that video of how to watch and listen on Facebook for all of Keith's fans.
Yes, for all the old elderly people who don't know
and
how
they're
to
only
access
on
things
Facebook.
on. Yeah, right.
Yeah. All of Keith's fans need to see that video one more time.
How far have we come in 2 years since we launched
Forgot about this.
Iowa Everywhere in our very first show? Van Winks pulled up a screenshot from our first show 2 years ago.
How old are you? You've aged.
Me?
Where's your microphone?
That's the biggest problem.
What the hell are you doing there?
The
His microphone is backwards, and it's about 5 feet away from him.
But I will push back on this. That was my first show. Why didn't you tell me to move my microphone in front of my mouth?
I don't know. I thought you were smart enough to figure out to put a goddamn microphone in front of your mouth if you're going to talk.
Couldn't you hear that? Like the microphone was.
I'm not the
5
producer.
feet away.
I should go back and listen to it and see how bad it sounded.
Oh,
and it looks like.
Look at how
Thanks for sticking with us, guys.
Williams, that was pre-T for Williams.
Yeah.
So
totally.
Williams
I
has
have
only gotten
zero
better looking, and
testosterone.
you're saying that I look a lot older. Great, wonderful.
Honestly, we have major lighting problems going on in that first episode. That's the problem.
Well, that was before Van Winks ate the placenta.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm in the baby's
Matt,
room.
you
man.
should totally post that side by side with now in
Yeah.
honor of Keith and Andy coming on.
But you have to put it. You'll have to put us on screen the same way you did
format?
it there. Yeah, that
There we go.
the three.
There
There
we
we
go.
go. Smile.
Cheese.
All right. Well, I love you guys. This is good. Appreciate all of our watchers, listeners, wherever you're paying attention. Please rate, subscribe, review. It really matters in what we're trying to do because it helps the algorithms of these different tech companies, and then they push us out to more people. So it really matters. That's why we ask you to do it. It's not for our egos or anything like that. He is Chris Hassel. My name is Chris Williams. We appreciate Fareway Meat and Grocery and Channel Seed. They came on board with us from day one, and we hope to keep doing them proud here on Iowa Everywhere. It'll be a great week full of content here on the network. We'll see you guys on Thursday.